So you're in two minds about moving to Italy. I get it, because you know what? There is a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you are making such a big decision. However, I believe there are usually two main reasons as to why you've arrived at a point of indecision about moving to this country. And we're going to talk about them in this video because this is a video to watch when you are in two minds about moving to Italy. And it's the first in a brand new series on my channel where I'm going to be focusing on different mindset aspects and things that you go through when you decide to both move to and live in Italy. Now, let's talk about the first kind of the reason why I think that you are in a point of indecision, and it is because of other people. Now, this can be divided into two subcategories. It can be because of other people sharing their physical, literal experiences here in Italy, and it can also be down to other people who, generally speaking, aren't as supportive, like family members or friends, that you had expected them to be. Now, let's talk about this first subcategory of people who are sharing their experiences and in a way making you second guess your decision to move to this country. Now, I could very well be one of those people because on this channel, I share with you the beauty and the reality of life here. Because I've always said it, it's super important that you educate yourself about life here in Italy. If you come here and believe it to be this romantic, dreamy destination that you've seen on many a holiday or in many a glossy brochure, then, you know, when the reality hits, you could be somewhat surprised. It's far, far better for you to educate yourself on all the many colours of this country so that when you arrive, you are in a much better position to stick things out and make a success of your life here. Many people don't do this. Many people hold on to the romantic notion, and that's why they run into difficulties once they start setting up and living their lives in this country. Now, there's something you've got to remember always, and even I say this on this channel, no two people's experiences will ever be the same. Now, I faced this when I first started researching moving to Italy way back in 2017, stroke the very beginning of 2018. I remember I went into expat communities on Facebook and I was asking questions about finding a job and what the process would be like. And even back then, even when the UK was still part of Europe, people were extremely critical about life in Italy, about how easy it would be for me to find a job. It was insane, the amount of negativity that I received in response to that question. And it just got me thinking, because it's not just me that has experienced this. I observe a lot in these expat communities, even to this day. And I see how people will come into these groups very enthusiastic, very, motivated and ready to make this decision, only to be met with intense criticism and negativity from fellow expats within this community. And sometimes they're completely blindsided, like they didn't expect to receive that kind of response. But this is it. This is something I want you to remember. First and foremost, no two people's experiences will ever be the same. That negativity that I was telling you about that I received when I first asked questions about finding a job in Italy, I didn't experience any problems. I have been working here continuously since the moment I stepped off that plane in 2018. Let me tell you, it's all up here. The story you tell yourself, the work that you decide to put in, how committed you are to the process, that is what matters, and that is what will set you in good stead in this country. So you can't necessarily pit your experiences against other people for this reason, because we all have different approaches to life. We all have different mindsets. We all have different narratives and stories that we tell ourselves. We all have different limiting beliefs and behaviors. So it's impossible, therefore, to say that because, I don't know, X has had a really terrible experience in Italy, that means you too will have the same experience, because it's highly likely that you probably won't. And if you do have a similar experience, it's going to be similar at best, but not necessarily identical. And this is something that you must consider, because I see too many people getting their dreams dashed by other people's negativity. It's important to listen to the reality of life here, absolutely. But you should never allow yourself to be completely dissuaded because people have had negative experiences in this country. I'm sure if you think about life in your own country, many people have had negative experiences. Like, there's not one place in the world where you can go to where your life will be 100% dreamy 100% of the time. And if there is, please tell me, comment below. I want to go there. But it's this, isn't it? So you must take what people say with a pinch of salt. Listen to it, educate yourself on the realities of life here, but kind of leave the rest, because a lot of what people will share with you also includes their own personal beliefs, values, the way that they go about their life. And kind of when you make a decision, do you really want to make your decision as to whether or not you move to Italy based on the limiting beliefs and behaviours of other people? I don't think so. So this is the first kind of subcategory of people that I think will really influence your decision to move to Italy, and why I think you really need to consider this. Your decision to move to Italy needs to be your decision, and it needs to be something that is right for you. And yes, you do need to understand what life is really like here beyond the glossy image that is often presented of this country, but it doesn't mean that you have to let another person's negative experience influence your own. Be selective, cherry pick the information that is going to best serve you, and make the decision in alignment with what you want. The second subcategory of people are those people who you probably would think should have your back, and they are your friends and your family. Now, there's something to note about this. This is very tricky because a lot of us are influenced very heavily by our family and by our very close friends. And so it can be really difficult if they are not supportive of your decision to move to Italy, and it might make you even more sure that perhaps this isn't the right thing for you. Now, what I want to remind you first and foremost about this is that your life is your own. You have to remember that at the end of the day, your path does not have to look like anybody else's path in your family. It doesn't have to look like the same life as your friends. It is your very own journey. And so your decisions should be in alignment with what it is that you want to gain from your life. This is where I think a lot of regret stems from, because people listen to others. They allow themselves to be influenced by people who they love, and then later on when they are older, they wish that they had actually done that thing after all. So you've got to just remember this. Your journey, your life is your own. And there's a funny thing that usually happens. People who at the beginning may not be very supportive of your decision usually end up coming round later on when they realise it actually makes you happy and it was the best decision for you after all. So imagine if you didn't do it to begin with because they weren't supportive at the beginning. Now, the other thing I want you to remember is that people can be triggered by your decision to move to Italy, and this includes your friends and family. Sometimes we go through life and we have dreams and ambitions and things that we want to do, but for whatever reason, life gets in the way and we're not able to pursue them. And then we sit back and we watch other people following through on their dreams and making what it is that they want a reality. And it can make you sometimes feel a little bit inferior and a little bit triggered, and maybe even a teeny tiny bit jealous because other people are doing what was impossible for you to do. You've got to remember this. Big life decisions are triggering for people who have unfulfilled wishes and dreams of their own, or are not able to do what it is that they really wish they could. So bear these things in mind. Our friends and family, of course, are very important to us, but you should never allow your indecision about moving to Italy to be as a result of their lack of support. You must do what is best for you, and those people, they love you, they'll be there for you once they realise that it's the right decision for you. Listen to their concerns by all means. I think this is always a really important thing. I'm not saying that you should shut out these people and not listen to what they have to say, but don't necessarily let your decision be influenced by what they have to say unless it really is something that aligns with how you feel. This is the most important thing of all. I think we have to remember sometimes that family members, friends, they want to protect us. And if you're making a big decision like this, then of course there's a lot of risk involved. And people sometimes can be very risk averse because they don't want anything bad to happen to you. They don't want to see you fail, whatever it may be. And so you've got to factor those things in as well. You know yourself better than anybody else. And so if you think that you've got the determination and resolve to make a go of your life here in Italy, then that's what you must remember. Now, the second main reason why I think that you are at this point of indecision about whether or not to move to Italy is that maybe you don't really want it as much as you think that you do. Let me explain. Sure, it sounds wonderful to move to Italy, to set up a new life here. You've seen all the lovely Instagram posts and YouTube videos highlighting the beauty of this country. And, you know, you're ready to start afresh. Maybe you're fed up of the politics in your country. Maybe you're fed up of the quality of life, the cost of living, whatever it may be. You are ready for something new. However, moving to Italy requires a lot of work, a lot of adjustment, and as a result, you're going to change many aspects of yourself if you truly want to integrate into this country. And sometimes we think we want this. Sometimes we think we're ready. Sometimes we're like, yes, bring it on, I'm here. But when the reality kicks in as to really how much you're going to have to do to make this a dream of yours a reality, sometimes we realize that maybe it's not really what we want after all. And there's no shame in that. And how you know that you are at this point is if you realize that you are not putting in the work that is necessary to move to Italy. You're not researching visa options or the bureaucracy process. You're not searching for jobs. You're not learning Italian. You're not looking and researching as to what life is like in this country. If you're not taking those basic steps, those fundamental aspects towards your move to Italy, I can almost guarantee you do not want it as much as you think that you do. If you are not prepared within yourself to adjust to starting a new life, starting from scratch, because trust me, it sounds exciting. I'm opening a new page to a new chapter, a new book of my life. But trust me, it's also bloody difficult to change, especially when you are set in your ways and you are used to things being done in a particular way. So it's a double-edged sword, moving to Italy. It's fantastic, but it's also challenging. And so if you are constantly in two minds about whether or not to move here, it's usually because you're not sure about the decision yourself really enough to be able to commit one way or the other. So I think if you are in this particular category, then I think what you need to do is you need to really be asking yourself, why? Why do you want to move to Italy? What is your life in Italy going to bring you that you don't currently have in your existing country? What experiences do you want to have? What kind of quality of life do you want to have? Are you prepared to change? Are you prepared to maybe lower your expectations a little bit, particularly if you're going to be working here? The salaries here are not fantastic depending on your profession. So you may well take a pay cut moving to this country and working here. Are you prepared to make those adjustments? Are you prepared to kind of go through processes that may be wildly different and loads more complicated than what you're used to? Are you prepared to make that adjustment? These are the things that you need to be asking yourself, and you need to be really honest with your answers, because I think if you can be really honest, you can then understand whether or not your indecision is based on your inability to decide because you've got these other factors with other people, or whether or not it's because you really and truly don't want it as much as you thought that you did. You fell in love with the idea more so than the action. So these are two reasons why I really believe that you are at a point of indecision as to whether or not to move to this country. Sure, there can be other factors like, maybe your route to moving here, such as through the citizenship laws, has now changed as a result of the recent legislation changes in this country. And so now you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to make it happen? But where there's a will, there's a way. Maybe you can't live here long term in the way that you thought that you might have been able to, but maybe you can explore other options and spend an extended period of time here and then go back to your country and split your life in this way. If you really want it enough, you'll make it happen. This is not some woo-woo nonsense. This is reality. Like, if you want to make it happen, you can find a way to make it happen. But whatever you do, you need to be really honest with yourself. What is the real root cause for your indecision about moving here? Is it relating to other people and those two subcategories? Or is it relating to the fact that maybe you don't really want it as much as you thought that you did? And if this video has resonated with you, then I think this might be the one that you should watch next, because I uncover a little bit more the journey that you're going to go on if you do decide to follow this path. I will see you in the next video.